All right, Carmen, you can go ahead and give your intro.
We are offering interpretation in Spanish during this meeting. If you wish to hear Spanish interpretation, please click the interpretation button at the bottom right-hand corner of your Zoom screen. You'll see a globe icon. If you're joining via Zoom through your smartphone app, select your language by clicking More or the three dots on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Select Language Interpretation, then choose Spanish, and then click Done. Everyone must choose a language. Estamos ofreciendo interpretación en vivo en español durante esta reunión. Si desea escuchar interpretación en español, haga clic en el botón de interpretación en la parte inferior a mano derecha de la pantalla de Zoom. Va a haber un icono de un globo terráqueo. Si se está uniendo a través de la aplicación de Zoom por medio de un smartphone, elija el idioma haciendo clic en More, o sea, más, en los tres puntos a la esquina a mano derecha de la pantalla y elija Language Interpretation. Luego elija Spanish y haga clic. Done. Listo. Y todos deben de elegir un idioma. Gracias.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to Evening with the Administration. It's sponsored by your PTO, Friends of Albert Einstein's Academies. So thank you so much for coming here. First of all, also thank you for all the administrators to being here. Dr. David Schroeder, from Mrs. Greta Bowders and Andy Trackers. Thank you for being here, guys. And I will not waste time. I will just start. I will give the stage to Mr. David Schroeder. Would you please take over, David?
Thank you, Peggy. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I think before I begin, I believe that Kathy Montes was going to just share some guidelines for today's meeting, I think. Kathy?
Great. Thank you, Dr. Schroeder. Due to the virtual format of this meeting, we respectfully ask all attendees to adhere to the following guidelines to provide equity for all speakers. During the Q&A session of this meeting, the raise hand feature will be enabled located at the bottom of your screen under reactions, where the smiley face icon is located. Speakers will be called on in the order their hand was raised. Each speaker will have up to 2 minutes for their question or comment. Each speaker is limited to one question until all questions have been answered, or until the 60-minute time limit has been reached for the meeting. When your name is called, please be prepared to speak. If you do not respond when your name is called, the next speaker will be called. Please speak slowly and clearly to accommodate translators. All live chat functions have been disabled. Meeting length is 1 hour. Expectations for audience conduct. The following conduct will not be tolerated. Any verbal comments that are deemed abusive, discriminating, threatening, racist, vulgar, obscene, or harassing. Any libel, slander, or personal attacks of any kind, including the use of offensive terms that target specific individuals or groups. Any spam, including content or pictures. Comments that include unsupported accusations. Comments that suggest or encourage illegal, dangerous, or destructive activity. And duplicate questions posts. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Kathy, for that. And again, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining this and prioritizing us above the World Series, at least for the first couple innings of the game. We're going to try to touch on some recurring topics going forward, and then we'll have an opportunity for some question and answers a little bit, probably around halfway through tonight's session. I first of all wanted to thank Friends and Peggy for keeping us on this trajectory of these monthly sessions. I think it's a good way to connect with the community. We wish we could do this in person and also do pastries with the principals and whatever we decide to call it going forward. But this is at least something and does allow folks to tune in from home in their slippers and before dinner. Kathy, if you'd be so kind as to project the PowerPoint. And this is really just so that we don't get too far afield, because I have a habit of going down rabbit holes. So I wanted to provide a couple of updates. First of all, most of you by now probably know that the San Diego Unified School District Board voted to approve a little over $80 million for an Einstein High School facility purchase and renovation. That was preceded by a meeting in late August by the Charter School Facilities Committee, where they made that recommendation. But we've really been working on this project since last January or so. So it's been a long time, but the passion and the dream has been a 20-year dream. So I just want to acknowledge everyone, and I could never name everybody who has thrown their weight behind the concept of an Einstein High School. And so the vote of the school board, what it means is that that money has now been allocated for this project. What's happening now, and the reason that we don't have a lot of updates out in public, is that the school district is negotiating with a potential seller of a building. And the reason I can't say the address yet is because I'm not privy to those negotiations. And I certainly can't speak on real estate negotiations, certainly when I'm not even part of them. The school district will be acquiring the building, and then we will be participating in the discussions and the planning around renovations. It's important to understand that when you use public bond monies and you work with a school district, it's a lot of hurry up and wait. So you got to meet deadlines, you got to get things in, you got to get them in the right way, and then weeks go by, sometimes months go by. Just so to give you an idea, the design process alone for the Einstein High School facility will very likely take 12 months. So it's not like designing a home renovation on your house. We're talking about what will probably amount to $60 million worth of renovation. And so, and then when you have on top of that, the bureaucracy of a school district and their requirements and accountability vis-a-vis Sacramento, it even lengthens that process. So as soon as we have more information on an acquisition and an address, we'll certainly push that out. Suffice it to say that we're really trying to keep the Einstein High School within the corridor of Einstein Elementary and Einstein Middle in terms of location. The second thing I wanted to talk about is the Aea Hotline. The Aea Hotline is something that we started as a COVID hotline in the beginning of the pandemic, when we were all scrambling and families might not have had access to high-speed internet at home and computers, et cetera. And also to try to help families with even with basic food supplies and hygienic products. And this can be found on the AEA website. There's a link that says hotline. You can call or text the following number, 858-859-1550. And the reason I'm bringing this up is that we're seeing that from time to time, we have people who in a very well-meaning way want to make a complaint or a suggestion about Einstein, and we welcome that. But what's happening is folks are directing that to the San Diego Unified School District, either to the charter school office or to, they have an office called Quality Assurance. So if you go on the San Diego Unified website, you'll find this office, Quality Assurance. It's a great concept in a district of over 100,000 students to have an office dedicated to really customer service and meeting the needs of families. The problem, the challenge is when you call or email them or leave a voice message, it goes to that quality assurance office. Then the quality assurance office says, oh, charter school. They kick it to the charter school office, and then the charter school office calls us. And so it's a way to go around Hazel Baker's barn when you could just come directly to us. You can make your suggestion, your complaint, whatever, on the hotline. You can also call the front offices. You can contact the respective principals or myself. You can also leave a nice compliment on the AEA hotline too. That would be refreshing too from time to time. The next topic I wanted to just touch on is vaccine mandates. You will very likely have seen that San Diego Unified, their school board voted to implement mandatory vaccines for all staff, as well as all contractors who are on campus on any of their schools. And I think it kicks in late November. And as well as all students. At the time, it was age 16 and over, and I think they might have adjusted that age. I get a lot of questions about how that's going to impact Einstein. We're not under the edict of San Diego Unified when it comes to that. So we're our own LEA, we're our own local education agency. So you can think of it as we're kind of like Alpine School District or Sweetwater or whatever. We're a separate entity. Now, they are our authorizers, so there's certain accountability pieces that they hold. But when it comes to a vote of their school board, it doesn't apply to us. Please know that our board at the last meeting discussed this topic, and they will also be discussing it at the November board meeting as well. And of course, that landscape has become even more complicated because we learned this week that it's pretty likely that the FDA is going to approve vaccines for even younger students, perhaps down as young as 5-year-old students. And then we'll wait to see what the CDC guidance is for schools around the country. So this is likely to continue to be an important topic going forward. And it would ultimately come down to a decision and a vote of our board. And so keep an eye out for the November board meeting agenda, and that can be found also at aeacs.org by clicking on the Board of Trustees link there, and you can see what's on the agenda, et cetera. You can always sign up to speak and address the board on that topic, as folks did at the last board meeting. And the last item I wanted to just talk about is student attendance. And we've talked about this previously, and there's been some written communication that's gone out. And I fully recognize that this has been a really challenging last almost 2 years, 18, 19 months in terms of attendance in person, in terms of getting into a rhythm. So much of school is about a rhythm, right? It's a 5-day-a-week rhythm. And then, you kind of plan your vacations and you plan your summer, and that's all kind of been broken down and shattered in many ways. And so we've struggled coming back in this fall with student attendance. And that's a problem. It's a challenge for two reasons. One is that obviously if kids aren't in person on our campuses, or they're not engaged actively in the independent study process with an approved independent study contract, they're not, as far as we know, they're not engaged in schoolwork. They're not learning, at least formally, through the school. And so that's, they're enrolled, they're our students, and we need to ensure that that's happening. The second part of that is that's how we receive our funding. And so we receive our funding based on something called ADA, average daily attendance. And so we've tracked that every day, 10 in the morning, the principals and I get a message that details exactly how many students are absent on both of our campuses. Now, we went through a pretty tough time in early September on both our campuses. We were down below 90%. To give you a frame of reference, we build our budget at 97.5%. And there are many years when we're at 98%. So when you drop below 90, you can think of each one of those percentage points equaling about $200,000 if you were to carry that out over the course of a year. So you start getting into some big reflection points around what programs you can and can't pay for, what personnel you can and can't pay for. So needless to say, we've worked really hard. I want to recognize the front office staff on both of our campuses and all the teachers and additional support folks who have worked with families to get people signed up for independent study contracts, if that's the best avenue, or to get them to come in person. The elementary is trending right around 90, a little bit more than 94%, 94.5%, and middle is right around 92, a little over 92 in the last couple of weeks. So there's still work to be done. as a proactive measure, we've actually reassessed our budget projections going forward. And we've worked to, instead of having that 97.5% as an ADA target, we've actually lowered it to 94. Now, that doesn't mean that once we hit 94 consistently, people can go, attendance isn't that important. No, it means that there was a sacrifice from 94 to 97.5 is a significant chunk of money. And so we're going to have to make some funding decisions internally going forward. And probably very likely, and luckily, we were able to use some federal dollars to bridge that gap. And after all, the CARES Act, that's what those dollars were for. They were for the COVID impact and the kind of the, I call it, it's a non professional term probably, but I call it the COVID hangover. It's this disruption. It's the aftermath of this disruption that we've been through. And so it's really hard to get that back on track. So thank you to the families who've worked with us in getting back on that, and we'll continue to track the attendance. And with that, I'll turn it over to our principals.
Thank you, David. Thank you for telling us everything in detail. Mrs. Bowders, I will give it to her.
Okay, hi there. Welcome, families. Nice to have you all here tonight. Look forward to a time where we can be in person again. First, I just want to, take a moment to celebrate some of our successes this year. Having our kids back and following the protocols successfully that have been asked of them. They're learning, they're happy. We're well into our second IB unit of inquiry, where we're getting to recognize our transdisciplinary themes, which include all of the specials: art, music, PE, outdoor ed, library, science. So happy to have that all back on track and see your kids kind of rekindling their friendships and actually building some new ones with new friends in their classes. So lots to celebrate. A couple of things just that are upcoming. We want to remind you on the November 1st, which is strategically always the day after Halloween for you guys, because I know it can be a very tiring and dysregulating day for your students, is our professional development day. So the students do not have school. Our staff will be attending IB training. And we have new staff that are training with the Making the PYP Happen, implementing agency, and that's kind of the level 1 training for new staff for the IB PYP program, International Baccalaureate Primary Years Program, to not use a ton of acronyms on you. And then the rest of our staff, we're really excited, will be working on IB training either 1 day or 2 day as well. So a lot of our teachers across the campuses are actually going to be participating in training on Sunday as well as Monday. And so they'll be working on learning diversity and inclusion, which is really giving teachers strategies to make the curriculum more accessible to students, including differentiation, making sure that kids have different levels of material and access to the curriculum, but also some of universal strategies to make it more accessible to all students. And so heavy into that for our PD this year, and we're very excited. Corey Julius, our IB coordinator, has been working hard to organize that. And the second thing I want to mention is our conference week will be coming up the week of November 15th across both schools. It's a reminder that it is a minimum days, Monday through Friday. So we'll follow the minimum day schedule, and teachers will be using those afternoons to have virtual meetings with all the families that can participate. We really recommend and hope that everyone can participate. The virtual platform has actually really helped to improve some of that, because you don't have to take a half day and leave work or home or such to get to a meeting. So hopefully those times and schedules will work out for you. We also have a Spirit Day that will be coming up the November 10th for our little ones. We are going to do dress as your favorite character, story character or movie character on the 10th. And then a reminder that the 11th November is a federal holiday, Veterans Day. And I think That's all the excitement over at elementary. Well, there's a whole lot more excitement over at elementary than that, but that's a taste of it.
Awesome. Thank you, Greta Borders. And we are going to Andy Truckers, our middle school principal. Can you please take over? Andy?
You're muted, Andy.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I just want to piggyback on Principal Bowders to talk about Spirit Day. We're having a very, very successful Spirit Week for the kids. The kids are happy. They're enthusiastic, as I had shared in one of my principal messages last week. It seems like the kids have a newfound value for being in the classroom. You know, since the beginning of the year, there's a new enthusiasm, and of course there's going to be that. The kids have been gone. They haven't been together for over a year and a half, but it's very encouraging to be able to be writing such a wonderful climate of positivity and happiness. And we're going to try to ride that as long as we can. Some of the things that are going on in the middle school, you know, we have over 120 kids that are involved in after school athletics, and we just kicked it off last weekend with boys and girls volleyball, which wins and losses don't really matter. The kids are having fun. They're connected to something positive, lots of smiles to go around out there. So we're going to continue to support our boys and girls volleyball team. And then we're in preparation for boys and girls basketball in a few weeks. So we're very excited about that. And with our focus on enrichment, we have over 15 different clubs and enrichment activities for our students right now. At the middle school, we're very, very excited. We're going to continue to be able to look for possibilities of developing more programs for our kids. But some of the programs are drama club, Spanish enrichment, German enrichment, No Place for Hate. ASB is alive and well on campus. As I had mentioned, our athletic programs, again, band and music. After Stein, we have a garden club, and then math counts and GSA, just to name a few. We're looking to be able to develop opportunities for our kids to connect, and what they'll connect to, we will never know. But we feel that it's our responsibility to be able to develop that menu for our students and their families to see what they might connect to, whether it's theater, drama, or music, or athletics, or robotics, or industrial, or whatever it might be. We're working hard to develop more programs for our kids. And then very excited for our opportunity for professional development for our middle school. We kicked off the year with ABA training. For those of you guys that don't know what that means, it's applied behavior analysis, and it's focused on developing inclusive and supportive environments and approaches to working with children with autism, and how we can develop a culture of support for that. And it's been great. It's a lot of hard work. We're going to continue to commit to that work now on a class-to-class, student-to-student basis. And now the balance to that, and we have the psychosocial, now we have the academic, is the development for the inclusion and differentiation through the lens of the International Baccalaureate program, which is coming up this weekend and Monday. Thank you very much for many of our parents. Some of you guys have had sent some emails, some very positive emails. We'd like to thank you. We need a little bit of help. Traffic in the front of the school has become a little bit dangerous. Today, it seemed like the entire front of the school was blocked off both ways with folks who are double parked, and we're encouraging the kids to come out into the street and get in the car. It's not acceptable. Please, 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 I encourage you all. The front of the school isn't the only place where you can pick up and drop off your kids. Please think about taking the opportunity to use the rear of the school. It's a much safer, much more organized opportunity and area to drop off your students. So give it a shot. You might wait a minute, you might save a minute, but it's a lot safer than parking in the middle of the street and encouraging kids to come out into the middle of the street. So thank you all for that support on that. We're 10 weeks in, and so far so good. We've had a very, very successful 10 weeks. We can't rest on our laurels. We have to continue to raise the bar for ourselves. And, you know, we're looking forward to supporting our students in raising their individual bar. And some of the initiatives that we have is to help our kids develop what we call an IGP, or individualized goal plan, where we can work individually. Myself and Ms. Solaria and our teachers will help prepare them identify a short-term and a long-term goal. We'll also have an area where they can be able to identify supports, things that they might need in order to achieve those goals. And then it's an opportunity for myself and our counselor, Ms. Solaria, to be able to make, in the spirit of developing relationship, make connection with our kids to help them and support them, and also through technology to be able to share these goals with our teachers and our staff who might have existing relationships with the kids to help them achieve those goals. So a step in the area, in the realm of executive functioning, but so very important for our kids. So we've got a lot of work out there, and we're going to continue to keep things positive and productive and moving forward for our kids and for our families. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Andreas Trakas. And I really want to appreciate the after-school programs at the middle school. I have a lot of parents telling me that's wonderful. Thank you for arranging these all things. And I think we are continuing with Kathy. Is that true, Kathy? Are you on COVID case numbers?
I am. Thank you so much, Peggy.
Welcome.
Just a brief update on our COVID case numbers. Brad, if you could click on that link right there. Thank you so much. As Principal Trakas stated, we're about halfway through the 10th week of school, and we are trending very well as expected on our COVID cases due to the safety mitigation measures that we have put in place. We have, as you can see here, this COVID dashboard is on our website. This is updated daily, so you can click on the link and check on this every day. It's usually updated in the afternoon. So, and as you can see right now, we have 3 active cases in the elementary school, and we have 2 active cases at the middle school. And this is a rotating chart. So when the cases fall off and the students return, have served the isolation period and so forth, and have been cleared to return to school, then those numbers drop off. And if any residual once a new case starts, then that goes on the list as well. But so far, we've had 21 cases for students and only 1 staff member, 1 positive case for a staff member. For 10 weeks of school, we're very proud of those numbers with close to approximately 1,400 students. And again, we attribute that to the safety mitigation measures, the mask wearing, the cleaning, the extra custodial services, and the air purifiers and so forth. So that is it.
Kathy, thank you for that update. Could I ask you to walk folks through a little bit about what happens when there's a positive case identified in a classroom, let's say, and you know, what they should expect will happen and what won't happen?
Sure. So if there is a positive case in the classroom, the majority of the time we're either finding out from a parent that is obviously taken their symptomatic student to be tested, or potentially another family member had COVID. And so they took the student in as a result of that. Immediately we're notified obviously by the parents, and also San Diego Health and Human Services notifies our health office and also my desk as well. And we provide contact tracing on our end to support San Diego Health and Human Services. And we actually have seating charts in every classroom all the way through the middle school. And we have to look at those seating charts, the health aides on both campuses, take a look at those seating charts and select the students that were in close contact to those other students. And those students' parents are notified that they're close contact. We can rapid test those students on site right away. And those students, so long as the close contacts, so long as they remain asymptomatic, meaning no symptoms, they can remain on campus, but they would be tested every 3 days for a course of, I believe it's 8 days total. So they would only be tested twice in an 8-day period, just to keep those numbers in check and just to make sure that we're performing our due diligence on our end. But we do have rapid tests on site on both sites. And again, we also are offering I didn't mention earlier, we have been offering now for 5 or 6 weeks now, the free COVID testing for all students and staff on Wednesdays. Every week, a student, if the family members wish for their students to be tested, that's from 1 to 2 p.m. at each campus. At the elementary, it's in front of the school. We have tents set up. And in the middle school, it's at the back by the basketball courts. There's tents set up there, and you register online ahead of time, and it's a very quick procedure, and parents get notified on their cell phone of the results. And I don't have the numbers now, but I know as of last week, we had tested over 145 staff and students, and we had not had any positive cases at that point with the testing. But that's a service we'll continue through the end of the school year, so long as the test kits remain available to us and they're not back ordered. And so far, there's a little bit of a backlog early on in the school year, but now we have a good supply, so we're not expecting to have any shortages for the remainder of the school year.
Thank you, Kathy. I want to put a plug in for that testing because first of all, it's the gentle testing. It's not the brain tickler. And second of all, we have a really good system with a QR code. And so folks don't need to hang around to wait for their results. So the whole thing takes 2-3 minutes per person. Then you can leave and you'll get a text message and an email with your results within half an hour approximately. So it's good.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, David Sharetta. Thank you, Mrs. Bowders. Thank you, Andrea Truckers. And I would like to say really for the COVID test on Wednesdays on campuses, thank you for that. That is well organized and everybody loves it. And especially also for the after school programs at the middle school, I really hear a lot of parents saying, thank you so much for organizing these things. Thank you, guys. And I would say for our folks, November and December, we won't have the evening with the administration, I guess, because it's always on the last Wednesdays of the month. And I think we don't have them coming up on November and December. But we will meet you in January. If we have anything to share with you, we will keep you posted. And thank you for everything, guys. Thank you. If you have any questions, please email us. And I think Katie has a Q&R. Katie, do you want to go ahead and check that on?
Yes, we'll go ahead and call again, as we spoke about at the beginning of the meeting. We'll go ahead and call those community members in order that use the raise hand feature on their computer, and those come up in order for us so we can see who's in order. So we'll start with the first name here is Mateus Kill. Mateus.
I would like to talk mostly in my 2 minutes about parent volunteers on campus. But before I do, I want to make a comment about Principal Bowders. I had the opportunity every day to see her dropping my son and daughter off and picking them up, and the amount of importance she places on safety, getting in the traffic and really adhering to the rules and making sure that people are being safe is to be commended. I'm really impressed by that. So I just wanted to throw that out there as a start. So thank you, Principal Bowders. As far as parent volunteers go, I'm really interested in coming on campus to help the teachers. It sounds like there's a need. It sounds like there's always been a need. As I understand it, it was a board decision to not have parents come onto campus. But I think I'm not sure if there's a plan to address that or discuss that. I know that there's other schools in San Diego where parent volunteers are now being allowed on campus. The after school programs are allowing adults on campus, at least to collect the children or to be on campus. So I think that I personally would be happy to sign a contract about, vaccination, boosters, travel, whatever logistics. And I think a lot of parents that would want to volunteer would be happy to conform to at least what the teachers are conforming to, or to even a higher level if that would make the board happy and comfortable with the safety of us being there. And so I just wondered if that was something that could be brought up at the next board meeting, or if there was already a plan to. But I think that I think there's a lot of parents out there that are interested. So that's my question.
I can address that. Thank you, Mr. Kill, first of all for recognizing Principal Bowders. It's a pretty thankless job to be out at pick up and drop off, and even more so when you don't have a badge. So things change a lot when San Diego PD shows up, but they don't show up all the time. And Principal Bowders has been really consistent for years on that. So thank you for recognizing that. On the topic of parent volunteers on campus, it's my intent to bring that to the subcommittee that agendizes the upcoming board meeting as a discussion point. And so I hope that that will be on the November board meeting docket as going forward, what we can do now in terms of perhaps a loosening in some ways, right, in a really strategic way about having folks be more involved on our campuses, because there's a need and an interest, right? We've had folks expressing an interest to come and help, from everything from running club to what you can imagine how many different options there that are presenting themselves. So I will bring that up to the subcommittee, which is a subgroup of the board, and hopefully that gets on the agenda for next meeting as a part of our. We always have this standing item that's reopening. And so I'd like to have that be just one of the things that we talk about. So duly noted. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sharetta. If anyone else has a question, they can use the raise hand feature on the lower right-hand corner, or if you need to turn on your screen and raise your hand physically, if you can't find that button, please let us know. Brad, do you see anyone with their hand raised?
Looks
we
like
have, yep, we have one, sorry. Nicole Hayes.
Hi there. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to ask a question. First, I want to echo what Peggy has said to Principal Trackus. I have now a middle schooler and an elementary schooler, and all the programs available at the middle school are just amazing, and thank you for all of those. For the elementary school, I think my question is, what kind of extra resources are available for our kiddos? Obviously, we went through the pandemic. Some of us have fallen behind. My question is really more geared towards German. It's my understanding that definitely third grade, I don't know if lower grades, but third grade is kind of being handled differently than like fourth and fifth. Fourth and fifth, we're kind of going back to the typical immersion kind of what it was pre-pandemic. So I have a fourth grader, so this is my question. German's always a struggle week for us. I've hired a tutor myself, but I'm just kind of wondering, like, what other resources are being offered by the elementary school if our kids need help in German or things in English.
Hi there. So we do have, we know the resources are difficult. We are used to having interns that were support to our teachers in each grade level. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, we have only been able to have one intern this year from Germany. So we are looking at in-house. This is part of one of the reasons that we're really honing in on just also the differentiation. We know our kids are coming in with so many different levels, and the teachers have a hard task, not just in German, in all the subject areas. We have kids who really are, kind of a year and a half behind versus, some who really excelled during this. So this is not just a German thing. This is a universal issue, which is why we are really trying to empower our teachers with strategies for differentiation. In terms of the German, we are looking for more interns in the spring. We do believe we're going to be able to get some. Right now, we do have German support at each grade level, but it is only one person per grade level. And so we're looking to improve that, because there is a whole lot of need. We know that. And it is really, falling on the teachers currently to really be able to differentiate that instruction with the support of their aides with small group. We have small group tutoring for our newbies who have just come in second grade. So that's available as well, mostly second graders and first graders who are brand new to German. One of the things that we're hoping to be able to do, and I think one of the differences between the elementary and middle school students, like none of our students have had the opportunity to be vaccinated yet, right? And so we are very much looking forward to that being an option for our kids. Even though our numbers are still low in the elementary school, our students still have a higher rate of infection than double that of the middle school. And so we're still being very, very cautious with our little ones and mixing them into groups, especially after school. In school, we were able to keep the social distancing in place with our small groups, but we look forward to being able to do more supports at the second half of the year once our little ones have had the opportunity to be vaccinated. But we know that it is a challenge, and it's not just German.
Thank you, Principal Bowders. Our next speaker is Kathy Washington. Kathy Washington. Thank you.
Yes, can you hear me? Okay, I did hear, so I have a child at the middle school and he is in 6th grade, and I was just curious, when will there be a decision on whether or not the kids will have 6th grade camp this year? And is there any idea if there are any other options besides 6th grade camp for the kids to be involved in this year?
So thank you very much. That's a great question. So currently, we've been looking to push out as many opportunities like 6th grade camp or experiential opportunities outside of the school campus as far as we can to the spring possibly. So the traditional Camp Marston, which happens in the winter, is not going to happen this year, but we are looking at developing a camp for our kids, which is going to be a science-based camp, and it's called Astro Camp. It'll be in Idlewild, and we're looking at doing that in the middle to late spring. It's a great camp. We looked at the possibility of doing a camp at Catalina Island for the kids, but there wasn't any availability as of now. But Astro Camp is a partnership with the same organization that does the camps in Catalina Island. So we're looking forward to sending our kids to Astro Camp later in the spring. It's not set in stone. We still have a contract to sign, some things to talk about before we get there, but those are some of the things that we're looking for. We're also thinking about the opportunity of, our 7th graders missed the opportunity on camp as well. So we're looking at providing an opportunity for our 7th graders as well. And also for our 8th graders. Typically, our 8th graders have a DC trip. I don't see our DC trip happening this early, but we are looking for opportunities for all of our grades to have these wonderful experiential opportunities that they'll remember for the rest of their life, to the mid to the late spring of this year.
Thank you, Principal Trakis. Our next speaker is Glory Ebery. Glory?
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity and all you're doing, Nestin. You talked about after school programs like the baseball and volleyball. My question is, do you also have a soccer game after school? And if yes, how can a child enroll in after school program? Thank you.
So that's a very good question. Our soccer program will be soccer program and soccer season for our kids. Well, first of all, the answer is yes. The soccer program and the season for soccer will be in the spring for boys and girls. Traditionally in the past, we had 4 teams, 2 boys and 2 girls teams. In addition to that, something that might be of interest is we're looking at developing this winter a futsal league for our boys and girls as well. So we hold soccer, football very close to our hearts, and we know that our students and our parents do too. So that's something to look forward for this year.
Thank you, Principal Trackus. Our next speaker is Mateus Kill. Mateus?
Hi, this may be jumping the gun a little bit. I talked to Mariana on the elementary school campus about this today, so that may be the right way to go. But I had I'll call it an opportunity to explore the COVID protocol that y'all have for kids this weekend. My son and daughter had symptoms, and fortunately they weren't COVID positive. But when it came to getting them tested, looking at all the resources that are out there, they all seem pretty logistically inefficient. And so I came across a resource that it's like a concierge thing where they come to your house, they test you, and you get results back by email in like 18 hours, which I think a lot of parents would be interested in. So I forwarded that to Mariana. The only thing and the only reason I bring this up is because one, Peggy said we're not going to have a meeting for 2 more months. And two, Mariana said that the emails that you guys send out are for free resources only. And it seemed like there might be a holdup in that it's not a free service. And so, although a service that I think a lot of parents would be interested in. So I wanted to ask specifically about the best way to sort of get the word out. And if that's something that as a school, the administration would be interested in doing. I don't have any ties to this particular organization, but it's just such a standout great thing, I think, for parents, number one. And then number two, maybe more generally, if this kind of thing comes up, what's the best way to, other than maybe Facebook, to get the word out to other parents? So
yeah, I can take a first cut at that, and perhaps Principal Bowders and Principal Trackus can chime in too. I think if you could send that email to Kathy Montes, if you could email Kathy Montes with that information or that link, CMONTES at AEACES. Kathy has been the tip of the spear on all things COVID tracing, COVID dashboard, which is why we have her on today. That's a start. And I think what we've tried to do is we've tried to compile on the website, it's true, a list of free resources, but this issue has not come up before. And so there hasn't been some sort of ruling from on high about, oh, we can't have a resource that costs money. I think we owe it to our community to offer a range of information, and then just be really clear about what information is free and what information has a cost attached to it. I think that's probably best practice. So for this instance, I think if you could just send that to Kathy Montes, that's a really good way to go. There are a lot of Facebook groups that are not directly affiliated with Einstein, and I think they're really legitimate, but they're just kind of spin-offs. And so some of that information can also go out via that. We wouldn't necessarily have any control over that, but certainly for information that would be posted on our website, if you could get that to Kathy, that would be great. And I'll check it out. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sharetta. I don't see any more hands raised. So Peggy, I will turn it over to you to close out the meeting.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming, guys. Thank you for all the wonderful questions and all the answers. And Matthias, I sent you the email address once again in the chat, if you can check it, please. And thank you so much. And like I said, we won't meet in November and December, I guess. I'm not sure, Kathy, but I think so. And then let's meet in January. I wish you all a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining us, guys. And thanks once again, Dr. Sharetta, Mr. Andres Trackus, and Mrs. Bowders. Thank you so much, guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.